guys, Marty Schwartz here. Anyway, this video is actually the first gear video that I'm making for this Marty Music channel. And in this video, we're going to be talking about overdrive pedals. Sometimes you could call them a distortion pedal. And there's different, all these different categories and so many different companies and different types of pedals. You got fuzz pedals, you got overdrive pedals, you got the metal zone, which people bring up. You've got all these different things that do a similar, kind of like a similar function. Boost your guitar, give you that rock and roll distortion sound. You use it for solos, all that. I'm going to talk about the basic concepts of the overdrive pedal. And what I did there in the intro was I used the same setting on my Analog Man King of Tone pedal. I used the same setting, and as you saw, I switched through the different pickup selectors. I used a single coil Fender Strat, and then I switched to a Gibson Les Paul with all the same settings on the pedal, so you can kind of hear the different nuances. But I'm also going to talk about the concept of it. And, this isn't the only pedal that I think you should get. There's some awesome pedals out there. I'll mention them. The Ibanez Tube Screamer is the kind of industry standard for blues and rock. And it's a great pedal. I have a couple of them myself. I also like the company Full Tone, which they make an OCD overdrive pedal that's really great, and one of my favorites is called the Plimsoll. And they all function the same way, and they have a little bit of their own characteristics each. There's a company called Wampler that make a bunch of great products, lots of great overdrive stuff that they have. So I don't think there's one be-all, end-all pedal. Like I said, right now, what you heard was the Analog Man King of Tone, which, is kind of a fancier pedal, but there's so many great ones, I wouldn't tell you to get to pick just one. And that's kind of the beauty of playing guitar, right? And also the curse. So we'll zoom in, on the pedal, and I'll show you kind of the concept of it, and, hopefully it helps you. And that's it. Oh, also real quick, thanks for supporting me and subscribing to this YouTube channel of mine. I got a lot of great stuff planned, more gear videos coming, and this is fun to be the first one. I just want to thank you for the support, and we'll see you on the other side. Let's do it. All right, so this is how I had my pedal set up in that intro. I'm just focusing on this portion of the pedal. This particular pedal is like having two pedals in one box. This one, which shines yellow, is kind of more, it's not really a heavy distortion sounding setting. This is more like your clean boost. If I'm using a hot humbucker guitar, I might have the drive turned all the way up and then use this. And if the amp's loud enough, I'll get that, non-distorted lead tone. But in the intro there, I was really focused on this portion of it, which is the distortion pedal. And that's a good starting point. So you could even imagine any overdrive pedal you have, we're going to look at this like it's the one that you have. Because most pedals have a few different dynamics. They've got the on and off, so that's this. They have a drive, a volume, and a tone. They sometimes have different names, but they're all pretty much functioning the same way. Let's talk about the drive first, because that's the first thing we're going to look at. I'll put the tone dead center. And also on my amplifier, I'm just using a clean channel Mesa Boogie. All the EQ is kind of like this, like straight up. And then, if it's a Strat and it's too bright, I might pull it back a little bit. If it's the Les Paul and it's real dark sounding, then I might go in that direction, which is going to brighten it up a bit. But I always start in the middle. Hey, I got an email. Yay for me. So the drive, we're going to talk about that right now. I'm going to turn the volume all the way down, tones halfway, the drive. That could also be called gain, like on a channel of an amplifier. Drive could also be called distortion. And in fact, it's D, so maybe that is what they mean, distortion, not drive. I have never thought, I always thought it was drive. So what you're going to get here is this is the amount of that, distorted rock and roll sound that people ask about. This is the amount of that. So I could crank it all the way up, and this is not a real heavy distortion sounding amplifier. It's a more bluesy kind of pedal. But so what I do for this is I crank it all the way, but that's the level of distortion. So if you want super rock, as far as you can go, you want that. But if you're looking for something that's got that clean sound, but it's just boosting it, and you're going for this clean, maybe melody, then you may be turning that down. For this pedal, since it's not like a heavy metal pedal. Heavy metal pedal. Hey, I'm rhyming. It's more subtle. So for me, especially with the Fender Strat, I can crank it all the way. So if you had it like this right now, with the volume all the way down on this pedal, if I clicked it on, you would hear no signal at all. It'd be completely silent. And that's why you think of your distortion or your drive first, then you bring that up. And that will be your master volume for this distorted sound. So theoretically, if you were playing in your bedroom late at night and you didn't want to bug anybody, your neighbors or your parents or whoever, your wife, whoever, your husband, your dog, then you can actually still get a super distorted sound and turn the master volume way down and still get that rock and roll sound. Sometimes people confuse it and have their volume all the way up, whether it's on the amplifier or a pedal, and it will crank super loud. So what I like to do is have the tone in the middle. The drive is the amount of distortion I want. I start to bring this up to hear the signal, and I crank it. I get the tone, how much distortion I want with this one, and then eventually keep bringing that up. And then what I would do is I'd hear my clean tone, and then I'd hear the distorted tone and hear for the levels of how difference in volume, how much difference in volume there is. So I know it's a good pedal when I'm playing in a band, and I know, okay, here's my, my lead sound. I don't want it to be too loud, but I want it to be louder than my rhythm and loud enough to cut through in the band. Now with this pedal in particular, I rarely use them both at the same time. So what I would usually set this up as is, since this side, the yellow side, the light would be yellow, the light's red there. So the yellow light, it's more of a, clean drive, almost like a clean boost. So when you do the D all the way up, and then you adjust your volume, and we'll put the tone in the middle, you really don't get a distorted sound when you click that side. You get just like a clean volume boost. If you're playing a humbucker guitar, you'll get some of that natural gain, but you're not going to get the distortion sound like you are in this. Now, that's the basic concept. The drive is the amount of distortion. The volume, or the master, is going to be your final volume of said distortion. If it's too kind of dark, like a humbucker guitar is darker than a single coil Stratocaster, if it's too dark, you move it in that direction and hear what you hear, adjust to the sound that you like. Now, Stratocasters, single coils, or Telecasters, they're brighter guitars naturally, so I tend to bring that tone down. And I always am listening with my ear to really hear what I like. Okay? There you have it. Yeah! Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Hopefully that was a little informative for you, or a lot informative. Also, thanks for subscribing to this YouTube channel. If there's a lesson you'd like to see me do, whether it's a song, a technique, anything you can think of, go ahead and like this video, leave it in the comments below, and I will check it out. Thanks again, and we'll see you real soon.